Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and today we continue our 52-year journey through film. We've done the 70s. We've reached halfway through the 80s, and it brings us to 1986 today. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up, what up? Glad to be back. Another week, another movie.
Another week, another movie. And 1986 this week, and there's some options, but one stood above the others in terms of I'd never seen it, and it had a certain degree of iconicism, and it was like, I just got to get around to it. We're talking Aliens. I've heard many a thing about Alien and Aliens and the whole Alien franchise, and frankly, it was really confusing for a while. I didn't realize that Aliens was actually the sequel to Alien.
I had zero idea, even going through this entire movie, knowing that it was a sequel. I thought that this was, I thought this was the original piece until you told me, like, no, this is the sequel. So, I mean, I just learned now.
That's what's so incredible about it, and that's one of the things they do so well, is that, like, it's an entirely standalone story that does well on its own 2 feet without having a prequel. But let's lay the groundwork for the people. Aliens, released on July 18th, 1986, written by James Cameron and David Giler, with a story by Walter Hill, based on characters created by Dan O'Bannon, and directed by James Cameron. This is our second James Cameron in 3 weeks, with Terminator a couple weeks back, and now here, Aliens. And it certainly had that James Cameron touch. You can tell at points that this is made by the same guy who made Terminator, which I just love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a definite, I don't want to say vibe, but like
there's a certain vibe. Like you are right. Like, I mean,
it's like Michael Bay. You know, whenever you sign up for a Michael Bay movie, you know you're going in for explosions and as much action as you want.
Right.
It's kind of like you know the vibe of the director, and James Cameron he has his own vibe.
He has his own vibe, to be sure. And especially when he's in this sci-fi realm. I mean, he's obviously branched out and done shit like Titanic, one of the highest grossing movies of all time, which is, I would quite confidently say, nothing like Aliens or the Terminator. But even then, he has a distinct style, and there's something about his distinct style that is incredibly corny, which is not a bad thing when it comes to James Cameron necessarily. It's just kind of like another thing that comes with, that's a part of the deal. And this movie, to a far lesser degree than the Terminator, but it still had some corniness to it. At points,
but good corniness in this case. Like, it's not like bad corny.
It's like Star Wars corny.
Yeah, it's like acceptable. Like, I don't know. It is weird. Every time we've talked about James Cameron, I mean, just in the Terminator, we talked about this as well, like the corniness and like how it's pretty easily predictable at points, but like it doesn't matter, because like that's what the story is, that's what you want it to be. That's like you see everything you want fulfilled and everything, and it's
exactly
like just more wholesome, feel good, at the end of the movie.
You do, regardless of how hard it was to get there, because there are several moments in this movie where I was like, they're gonna die, all of them. They're fucked.
Yeah,
this is it.
I mean, it was one sticky situation after the other. It was just not a fun time.
They had to do. Not. And frankly, Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, Ellen Ripley here, one of my favorite protagonists in in a while. And the fact that we've gotten these two characters in the last couple weeks with Ellen Ripley here and the Terminator's protagonist in Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. Like the powerful woman protagonist who's here to serve and protect. And obviously Sarah Connor wasn't quite there throughout the movie in the Terminator, but she gets there by the end, and Sigourney Weaver, she's a badass through and through from beginning to end here as Ripley.
She kills it. Like she earns everyone's respect like so quickly. I guess not the beginning with the board members, whatever. I'm throwing
the beginning
that
was
part
infuriating.
Out,
like guys, she's the only one who's had an encounter with these aliens. Would you please listen to her for the love of God?
It's like, it's like the don't look up concept. It's like, here's some people that are telling you one thing for certain is going to happen, but you're just going to say, no, I'd rather not believe that's real. You're crazy,
Right.
So it's like, it's more comforting to think that way, but,
to be sure,
dangerous way of thinking. But
it was also our second encounter in 3 weeks with Michael Biehn, who was was John. He was the father to Sarah Connor's baby in Terminator, and here he is, Corporal Hicks, again, the love interest to the female protagonist. So I thought that was another interesting one, and I think we've got a front runner for biggest simp of the '80s in Michael Biehn.
For sure. There was him. I recognized him immediately. Like coming off the Terminator, that was pretty easy. Like same dude.
Yeah,
but
Kyle Reed.
Burke. What is he in?
I got it. Stranger Things.
Oh my God, thank you. Because whenever I'm looking it up, all I saw was his Lord of the Rings stuff, and I'm like, no, that's not it. Like I know he's in Lord of the Rings, but that it's not it. Thank you.
Thinking of him as the Doctor in Stranger Things.
Yes. Oh my God, thank you.
No, because I immediately was like, I was Leo DiCaprio in the meme, pointing at the screen and shit. Like I was like, that's the guy. That's the guy from Stranger Things.
Oh, now I can sleep. Thank God. Like oh my God, I was trying to figure it out forever. But at least, okay. Stranger Things, he's not like the narc that he is
right.
here.
Yeah, like
what a narc. Like
dude, he was a fucking asshole.
God
and
damn.
There's another very anti-corporate streak that this movie has, and that James Cameron has had in the Terminator, as we just saw a couple weeks back. I mean, it sees the dangers of colonialism in terms of like other planets, and I'm assuming it can be kind of applied to other aspects in terms of its being our military and us invading a place that doesn't really want to be invaded. So the people are the aliens are stopping it from happening, and
like Burke even says, he's like, who's like, is it really for like us to decide if we wipe out an entire species? This was early before we knew how like much of a narc he was. So like I was trying to root for him. He's like asking the right, like that's the question you should ask. Like, do we even have the choice to
wipe
extinct a species? Like that, like shouldn't be in our hands. Like that's, the right line. And then like, he turns into
it takes the right line as these people are one to do. And the right line of questioning, and then it's the most twisted possible view. It's like, okay, but how can it make us money? Not how can I protect it?
I don't know. Like, yeah, that dude, I just wanted to punch him. The whole I was movie. Like, yeah, you got a very punchable face now. Like,
no, this dude's out here like that. That meteor has $140 trillion worth of materials in it.
We need it. He's the one to let civilization die for money.
Oh yeah, and what sucks is it's like he's not even like, doesn't even seem like he's the guy. He's just a guy.
Yeah, he's not even like at the tippy top. He's just somewhere down the chain, and he's like, yeah, we have to do this for our company,
dick rider,
for our whatever,
for our man and
whatever
country.
they are. What are they like? Like a
Well, it's the Wieland Corporation. It is just a corporation.
So it's just a business.
Yeah.
Among what's the whole civilization like? Is it like, are they multiplanetary? Or are they like just in their?
It seems like it's to a degree multiplanetary, because I mean they're trying to colonize this planet and they have been for years.
So it's wide. So we're just looking at one company's interest in this species.
Yeah, there's no telling what the larger world is like. Like there could be multiple corporations doing this sort of thing. You never know. But no, yeah, the Wieland Corporation seems to be quite the evil assholes. And they'll stop at nothing to make that money, which is kind of the theme that we can kind of grasp from a lot of things. I mean, going back to like Jaws in 1975, there's an anti-capitalist streak there that's like, this isn't worth the money you think it can be. Like it's like that's not what it is.
Yeah, like the wake up call of like, hey, your men are literally dying right now and you're doing nothing about it. Like, okay, I'll step in now and I will do what needs to be done. Like, like basically that's what she did the entire movie is like, okay, you guys are obviously wrong. I'll step in and do the right thing. It's
exactly.
Like every situation.
And I did really like the team they set her up with. We get Ellen Ripley off rip with this asshole of this corporate stuck up snob, and get her with Michael Biehn's character, Corporal Hicks, I want to say, and then you got all the other military men, and I really loved it with like Jeanette Goldstein as Private Vasquez. I was like, yep, that was dope.
Yeah, can we get another fuck you out to a character real quick? Private Hudson, the guy that's just like, oh man, oh we're fucked, oh we can't. Oh my god, dude,
that dude sucks in literally everything he's in.
Like, I wanted to feel bad for him, I guess, a little bit, but I mean, dude was. Just,
I wouldn't be having a great time, but like, you signed up for this shit, bro.
Man, yeah, just. That's all I want to say about his character. Is, man.
Like, yeah, no, he was a doucher. No, but like it is fun seeing her around this group though, because it makes it clear who we're gonna be like, okay, maybe they'll be cool from here on out. And like Hicks is very quickly, and I think Vasquez semi is kind of, but she goes kind of back and forth throughout the movie, in a way. She's just kind of ready and about that action at any given point.
Sergeant Apone, he was cool. Like, I don't know, like just yelling at them, the way he like yelled at everyone, got them in line.
That's a bunch of badasses. Let's get in there.
Yeah, he was really good. Like he was real funny.
That was outstanding. Yeah, but the first 30 minutes of this movie really is the warm up, and knowing that this is a sequel movie makes it kind of clear why the 30 minutes are the way they are, because they wanted this movie to also be able to stand alone. So they kind of don't just assume everything. She has to come back and explain it to everybody as well. Which is a great launching off point for this story. But like for a iconic sci-fi action movie, how absurd is it that the first action sequence isn't until like an hour and 15 minutes into the movie?
That's true. I never even thought about that. The story was just so captivating that like I was like, I don't need any action right now, like I'm just in this world. Like, right. I'm fully in. Like the suspense. It was just
more
building
quickly than most things that we've watched so far. Was I in? Like I believed this universe that we were in very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was just. I didn't even realize it was like an hour. You said an hour and a half in?
Hour and 15, I think.
Man, that's kind of wild. I did not think that part of the movie was that long. I mean, I was just like riding through it.
Well, because like they get to the fucking like base on the other planet. They go through like the whole drop thing, and then it's just kind of them being there for a while. It's not and then being scared, and it's them building suspense. Like you don't see anything. It feels intense, but there's not action. Like it's intense, but there's no action, which is hard to do. Like that's not an easy thing to do.
They really do build the suspense like super well. That whole time they like the heartbeat sensors, like that motion trackers where it's like you can't see any of them, but there's tons of them all around. It's just like, no, they're jumping out at any time, like this is it. Like,
and this technology always confuses the fuck out of me because I never know just how far it is. It's like, well, that seems like it's a lot closer than it actually apparently is. I'm always like, they're right there, but they're 30 meters out. We've got 5 minutes. Like, what?
30 meters? Is that really? Like, yeah, like, if I saw that many things beeping, like, I'm not as calm as they are. Like, I'm running the other way.
Taking one of those guns and turning it upwards, if you know what I'm saying. I'm just
opening. Well, I guess, that's kind of the conundrum they're in. Like, they couldn't fire.
They
like,
couldn't.
For the first, or else if they all just didn't want to die, like, blow up the whole thing. But I guess, did they just get out of that area and then that's how they could like open fire like for the rest of the movie?
Yeah, it is.
Or were they just like, fuck it, we have to? Like,
I think they
never really
get out of that area. Oh, okay. But yeah, that's what's also really interesting is that like the scale of this movie, it goes up and down like crazy throughout it. Like it's like we're on this giant setting where everything, like anything goes here. And then it's like, we're in really close compact corridors. We're in like a little ventilation shaft, basically. Like it just kept going back and forth in terms of like the scale of it all. And I really, really fucked with that. But the true heart of this movie for me is Ripley's relationship with Newt.
Heck yeah.
Fucking Newt, man. I loved that kid. She was awesome.
Off rip, like she went through a whole lot.
No, yeah, immediately I'm like, okay,
Damn.
y'all need to look after this girl because she's been out here for a while, alone, avoiding aliens.
Smart girl.
Yeah, very smart girl. And it makes perfect sense that Ripley would immediately take her under her wing and protect her. And there's this weird parallel in the movie where we've got two matriarchs going to war. Mother Alien versus Mama Ripley, protecting Newt, and one of them's protecting her species. So it's like it's an interesting battle that they've got going on the whole fucking movie. And whenever the Mother Alien first, shows itself, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a problem.
There are a few times where you're like, oh, that's the mom, and then you're like, no, that was just like another big, just another big one. But then you saw the actual mom, and you're like, oh, that's the mom, like that. You knew. That's the mom. That's the queen. The queen alien. Did they ever have like a name for? Did they just call them aliens? Like straight up, they didn't even like have a name for their species.
Yeah, I don't think they had a name for the species. I think it was just the aliens, or like
straight up aliens.
These alien beings, these creatures. Like I don't think they ever expressly stated a species sort of name. But the
synthoids or the artificial. What was his preferred way of being called? He like they called them synthoids or androids, and then he was like, "No, I actually
artificial life."
Artificial. Yeah, it was artificial something. Yeah, artificial. Was it artificial life?
I think it was life.
Yeah.
Just because like he was like, nah, like for real, I'm not that much different than you. I'm just fake. I'm artificial. But whenever he got ripped in half, that was honestly the freakiest part of the movie. It was like, well, for one. In the moment, I'm like, wait a fucking minute. And then I was like, oh, yeah, he's the robot. Because the Westworld-ass stuff starts pouring out of him. Which I think there's an insinuation there in terms of a connectivity between the 1979 Westworld movie, Michael Biehn being in that movie, him also being in this movie, kind of it being a Westworld homage, perhaps. But that's granted, I also don't know if the Westworld movie has the same makeup as the Westworld bots in the show. So, or 73 was the Westworld movie. Shit, sorry about that.
Be really cool if they weren't like, the white fluid in the original, but they were in Aliens, and then the TV show adapted the white stuff from Aliens. Like that would be the cool. Like
that would be
coolest,
cooler. Yeah, like it's like actually we like
an homage from an homage.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty sick.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. No, but yeah, I was, and that's what's wild. It's like now I watched this movie a couple of days ago when I thought we were originally gonna record this podcast, and it more than anything, I just recall the way it made me like feel, like the intensity of the last hour. I don't think we've had a movie on our run so far that quite stacks up in terms of like stakes. Like I'm genuinely worried about, like, I think Newt is going to die several times during this movie.
Yeah, whenever she like goes down that one, like slides down that ventilation shaft where like she
I was
splits
like, well, that's
up,
it. We're done.
and then she's like in water and like underwater and like the like things right there, right behind her, like in the water. I'm like, oh my God, like she's done there.
Done.
And then the mom, like grabbing at her, like, like multiple times, like for multiple of these characters, you're like, they could die here. Like we are very attached to these characters and they could die at any second right now.
And that's one thing that I think this movie like stands out for me. I really, really like on a level that I liked Sarah Connor, and I liked Kyle Reese, but like I cared about Ellen Ripley. And I wanted Corporal Hicks to make it out with Ellen Ripley, and I think to like some of the best examples of characters I really, really cared about, like Jaws. I liked Hooper a lot, and Marty, but like I think this is like the standalone best example of someone getting you to care about characters so far, which is a huge credit to it. I mean, I'm not really including Star Wars or like Indiana Jones because these are kind of different. They're in a different realm of their own. But
fair.
Like I'm rooting hard, and it's the protecting the small child, man. Soon as that becomes at play, I'm really gonna care about whoever's protecting the small child. You know what I'm saying?
You hear that Ripley had a daughter, lost her, and then this, Newt lost her family. So it's like, a little found family. It's so cute, so wholesome. Ripley's the first one like separated from the group completely just to talk to her, in her little like where she lived and stuff. And it was just, and then like when they're in the like the medical bay, like part of it, when they're locked in there, and they're like together with the thing in there, and like they have like all like just so cute moments together, like
right.
Like really like you really like feel like by the end of this, like that's a mom and a daughter right there. Like,
oh yeah, like
they're like
she straight up calls her mom at one point.
Yeah,
and like when that happened, I was like, oh, that made me so happy. Like she was like, Mom, and I was like, oh God, that was adorable.
If it's sad that's how they had to come together, but like beautiful how it turned out.
Exactly. Like you make the best out of a shitty situation, and I think they've done that. I can't recall. Hicks doesn't make it out of this movie, right?
I don't think so. No.
He's one of the sacrifices, isn't he?
Let's see. Who blows up with Vasquez? They have like, there were Vasquez and a guy. I can't remember who the guy. I don't think it was Hicks though that blew up with her.
Right. No, I don't think it was either. He would have had a more ceremonious death.
Yeah.
That's what's making me think he might not have died. Is that I can't remember it if he did.
Well, then how would he have? Oh no, he's alive. Yeah, because he was one of the people who were in the sleeping pods at the end with the bandages around his head, right?
Oh yeah. No, he got banged up real bad, but he didn't die. That was I think that was a part of the idea. If I hope I'm remembering correctly. Like I said, I watched this movie a couple days ago and I've only seen it once. But
let me go back to the ending real quick. But I think he was one of the people in the sleeping pods at the end.
Gotcha.
If I had to guess.
I get you. I'm reading into it a little bit, and at least one draft of the shooting script for Aliens, Hicks is killed
How did he
However,
die?
Michael Biehn refused to give the filmmakers permission to use his likeness, and even threatened to sue if they did in the third movie. So he was so he definitely made it out of Aliens too. But I don't think he plays.
Oh yeah. I'm watching it right. Yeah,
Aliens.
He's the one in the bandages at the end for sure. I'm looking at it right now.
That's what I thought.
So,
one thing that I was interested about this movie is that it wasn't some mythical entity. It was just the Marines. Like the Marines were the ones who were doing this.
Not like the Celestial Guard or like whatever. It's just like
the Space Force or some shit. No, it was just the United States Marine Corps was protecting outer space.
I mean, you have like whenever they're dropping in, they're like, "How many is this for you?" He's like
38 simulations.
Well, how many real
battle? 2. Including this one.
Like, I mean, it's like we're all gonna, every movie kind of has the moment of we're all gonna die, like, and that's kind of one of those moments of we're all gonna die, whenever this whole squad that you're sending down to this species that wiped out an entire, we know nothing of how it wiped out this squad before, at least we don't, because we haven't seen the original, but like, all we're hearing is that this thing is bad news, and we got a dude that's only been in simulations,
Well, the iconic alien shooting out of the chest is from the first movie. When Sigourney Weaver has the nightmare where she sees that happen, like that's from the first movie. She's worried that that's going to happen again, and that's how they do it. They kill they nest their young in the bodies of people.
Damn. It's like an emergence per body. It's like a little,
little mini emergence.
Yeah.
But no, and what's crazy about this movie too is that it is one of the simplest in terms of story we've watched so far, and because we're hiding from aliens. And we're fighting the aliens. I really want to protect this young girl. I form a relationship with Hicks. And
that's like a James Cameron thing. Like, very simple, bare bones story. Terminator, like Avatar, isn't Sigourney Weaver an Avatar? Like, she's an Avatar, right? Is that her?
Yes, she's an Avatar. Well, she's the doctor in Avatar, I'm pretty sure.
Kind of like a similar-ish role, I guess, to this. She kind of plays like the same-ish character.
Ish, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like always like very simple storylines, but like don't really want to say simple as like a bad connotation to it, discrediting it. It's like,
it's not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. It's certainly, it's effective. Like that's what's different, is that there are simple stories that are boring and don't get the job done, and then there are simple stories that are extremely effective and well done. And he's one of the guys who has figured out how to make extremely simple stories extremely well done. And frankly, he deserves a lot of props for that. He's like, because Terminator and Aliens, they're kind of these movies that feel like they should be a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
And they're just not.
Nope. Yeah, Terminator's just bad guy. You don't want to mess with him. We're running away from bad guy. This movie, we're running away from aliens, and we're, trying to do everything we can to kill it. I mean, it's very simple, but man, executed very well. Like
extremely well.
Riveting the entire time. Like, there's not like a dull moment in this movie. It's just like on all the time. And man, yeah, I didn't even take any notes like during this movie. I was just
I didn't either. I didn't either. And I also don't know what I would have taken down besides like reactionary stuff. Like, wow. Oh, damn. Like, it was like I didn't have a lot of thoughts as to how it pertains to anything. It's just kind of like, man, I really hope these aliens don't kill these motherfuckers. And that's just kind of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the power loader scene where she like gets in it for the first time, and then you have like the sergeant, whoever was like next to him, just watching her like do it, like start up for the first time and stuff.
no, yeah, I absolutely loved that.
Uh,
But the whole movie just it has this air of I don't know. It's just there's an air of hope that Sigourney Weaver's Ripley brings to the role that you just kind of like and because it's also a movie by James Cameron, you have the idea that shit's gonna work out in a way okay, but it doesn't feel like it, like at a lot of points. And that's kind of what makes the movie awesome, because like the only thing that really keeps me in it, like, okay, things are going to be okay, is Ripley. And it's not because James Cameron made the movie and it's a movie, shit will end up okay. It's because Ripley makes me feel like things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Which is like that's a huge plus in the side for a character, like just so reassuring and motherly, like the matriarchal factor of her, where she's just this motherly nature, was just fantastic.
Yeah, one thought I had during the movie was take Newt out of this movie and you kind of like don't care as much because they're all adults,
Yeah.
And it's like if they all die, like sure, like they're still dying, that's terrible. But like now you have a child, a innocent child that just has no quarrel with any of this. And you're like, oh damn, like I'm in now. Like I care.
They need to protect this child, please, at all costs. She's been doing this on her own. She's clearly very like an incredible child. Like, but and any child, frankly, they don't have to be any incredible in any way or survive for years on their own. For the record, just protect a child. But one thing that I thought was interesting about this movie is that Ripley doesn't seem to give a flying singular fuck that it's been 57 years and everyone she knows and loves is dead.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just like...
It's just the reality they're in.
It's normal to them. Like, it's like a very... Like, there's no way that could ever happen to any of us. Like, we can go in a coma, sure. 5 years, whatever, or we're dead. But, like, we can't cryo sleep for 50 plus years. That's just not a possibility to us. But in their world, like, maybe that's just like, damn, it actually happened to me. Like, like, shit.
Damn, I thought that might be coming at some point, and it did.
Damn.
Yeah, I guess there's no telling. And maybe Alien kind of clears that up for us a little bit more.
Or I guess she knew she was going to sleep, right?
Because she had to go to sleep herself, but I don't think she had anything scheduled. I think she was just like, I'm gonna go to sleep because.
So right before she goes to sleep, it's probably like, I could very well not see my family. Like, that's the thoughts you're having as you go to sleep, probably.
This is what's interesting, because we are talking about a sequel movie without having seen the first movie. And it's hilarious with that context. Because my impression of Alien, which is directed by Ridley Scott, who did Blade Runner 1982, which we covered here. My impression of Alien is that it's even simpler than this is, because it takes place on one ship. And it's just one alien coming after a crew. And that's it. And at the end of it, Ripley ejects it out the airlock like she does this alien. The mother alien.
Straight up. Yeah, like whenever I saw that airlock, like at this fight, like she was like, yeah, whenever she had that like very are you seriously not believing me? Like, I was the one who blew it out the airlock myself, like, exactly. And then I saw like the mom, them fighting, seeing that, it's like, yeah.
Oh, and the fact that
know what's coming here,
that thing to fight the mother alien, I was like, fuck yeah. Because like when she showed them she knew how to use it earlier in the movie, I was like, that feels random and without purpose, but we'll see. And then it comes back around tenfold, with her using it to fight the mother alien. How about the fact that this alien, or like one of them knows how to use an elevator. One of them is cool just chilling on the bottom of a ship, figuring out where the fuck they're going. I thought like like it's clear they have like a degree of an intelligence, and they're not just mindless killers. But like, I also don't know if that's actually the case.
Like they do bring it up in the movie, like some power system goes down, and they're like, "How do they do that? They're just animals," or something. Like there's a line where like they kind of mention that, like it could just be, that they're putting more, like they're thinking of them higher because they're just so scared. They're like, "Oh my god, no, they're actually conscious. Like they're smart now. Like, oh, we're screwed." Like I think it's just they're simply a destructive species, and they just took out, climbing to them all the power systems, and they're like thinking that was them specifically doing that on purpose, So like,
right.
I really don't, I don't think they have like a super high intelligence. I think it's just they do a lot of smart things on accident by what they're doing.
Yeah, and there's probably something to that, because like when the power went off, I was like, are you fucking serious?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, because they haven't really shown any inclination towards that level of intelligence in the movie. It was just kind of like, oh, they're just turning off the fucking lights now.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was hilarious. And that is those are some of the things that make the movie corny, like an alien using the fucking elevator, and them going full Quiet Place Part 2 with the fucking thing just being able to chill on a fucking boat.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's maybe they are hella smart. Maybe there's even a deeper backstory to where it's like a scroll situation where like they're not the bad guys, Yeah, like
there's a lot of alien shit.
Yeah, maybe they're not. Maybe they're very misunderstood, and they're
what's
just
funny is if there's like somebody listening who's like an Alien franchise fan, they're just pissed at us right now. They're like, "You fucking idiots!"
Yeah, or maybe they're way worse. Like maybe they've taken like over 80% of the universe, like they're just everywhere, and we just are like, maybe they're good, maybe they're just misunderstood, and everyone's like, no, they fucking suck.
No,
like
bro,
these guys just murder, like they just take over.
And I think one place where we've seen a clear influence from this movie is actually A Quiet Place, and maybe more specifically Alien, because it has the more horror tones, but just the mindless killing alien who is just here for destruction, doesn't really seem to be here for any other reason, is just killing, and you're just trying to survive, and that is all this is.
I don't know, maybe that's what like makes it so enjoyable, is that you don't have to think about really what's happening. It's just like, I'm just experiencing the movie, like exactly. It's just surface level like experience. Like it's I don't know, maybe that's why it's just so enjoyable. Like it's
and these are the type of movies that are more fun to watch, just because it is like the story being so simple, but it's still being so entertaining and captivating, and still getting me to care about all the characters is what makes it so fucking good. Because like, I mean, I think to like Eternals, for example, a very complicated movie with not a straightforward storyline in the slightest, and a movie that made me care about all the characters to a degree, but could have done a lot better. But you know why they couldn't do a lot better? It was because the story was mad fucking complicated. And that's where Aliens excels, because they're like, we don't have much to do here. You're trying to stay away from a fucking alien. Okay? Several of them.
Survive. That's the goal. Like, survive. Like that yeah. Eternals, you have all these different powers, the emergence is happening, you have multiple antagonists, different parties. This one is just survive. If you can live, good on you. You're probably not going to, though.
Right.
Right. And it's just, you're in for the ride, in for the ride of the movie. And like, you're just right there with them, like every death, you're just like, damn, like I knew you were probably going to die, but it's like, damn, like still, like,
yeah, like, I didn't really want,
like when Vasquez and whoever was with her, I'm sorry to whoever you are, guy. But like, even she says, like, right before they blow up, like, you were always an asshole or something like that, like that's the last thing, like that's her last line, which was just great.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Because he was who's the
Whoever
big
it was.
fucking asshole? I think it was him.
Let's see. Was it? It wasn't Hudson, I don't think. Was it Hudson? No, it wasn't the loud guy. Oh man, I don't think it was him.
Was it Gorman?
That sounds right, and it looks right. I'm looking at him. Either Gorman or Private Drake. I don't know. I only see their old selves on IMDb, not the the character selves in the movie. But yeah, either Gorman or Drake. To the one of you that died with Vasquez.
And just again, I'm blown away at how much I feel like Michael Biehn looks like Sebastian Stan.
That's yes, very true. Like, wonder. Let's see. Michael Biehn could have been a Luke Skywalker. Like he's like on
par with the same age as Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Maybe he was considered sort of type beat because he would have been 22 or 20 at the time of A New Hope's filming.
Probably didn't have the Mark Hamill hair though at the time.
Probably not.
They were looking for. I don't know. Maybe that was it. They look a little different whenever they were younger though. Mark Hamill and Biehn.
For sure. Well, that's the thing too, is that I'm less and less keen on the Sebastian Stan looks like Luke Skywalker thing every day.
It's really just the hair.
It's just the hair, and it's that one photo that looks like Luke Skywalker. the one where they're like next to each other, right, side by side. Like that's the only one where they really look like each other. I'd say this is the much better comparison for Sebastian Stan. There are several shots in this movie where I'm like, I could have swore that was Sebastian Stan.
Maybe he really is Bucky. Maybe he really is 100 years old. The Winter Soldier just doesn't age.
Maybe he is. He is
just in all these movies.
Nah, man. But I really don't have much else to say about this. I mean, we spoke on the simplicity of it, and that's really as far as it goes for me. I mean, there was certainly an important sort of anti-colonial perspective that this movie provides, and being like, mind your fucking business. Don't invade land that isn't yours, and we'll be fine. And that's kind of like the idea. It's like, well, you shouldn't have colonized this planet.
Yep.
That's on you.
Yeah, that's rough. And then seeing how destructive your decision was, and then still being like, oh, nah, we'll still take, we'll still benefit from this, to still push forward after that. Damn.
It just couldn't be more pathetic. It's just like, god damn, what are we?
What a narc, man. Yeah. That's what I'll finish. Fuck Burke.
Fuck Burke. Fuck Burke. But yeah, man, shit. You ready for the ratings?
Oh yeah. It's time. I think enjoyment. Pretty
I'm pretty high on this.
It's up there. Oh yeah. Very wholesome. Hitting the right places,
It is.
Ticked all the boxes.
In terms of enjoyment, I think I'm gonna throw it at 4.9, 4.85, real high. Not quite a 5, I don't think, but really high.
Okay. For comparison, Terminator was a 4.8. Just another very simple movie that was very executed very well. I'd say, I don't know.
I like this a little bit more.
I don't
know if I see but I don't want to get recency bias with it.
That's kind of true.
I don't know if I'm just coming off Aliens, so I think it's better than Terminator.
It kind of is the same.
I feel the exact same. I feel as I did coming off of Terminator. So 4.8 is probably a really good spot for it.
Okay. Now, as the genre, sci-fi action. I mean,
it's about as good as it gets, as far as I'm concerned.
Shit.
I think that's a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I can't really give it any less than that. And I wonder if is this the sequel better than the original?
It's regarded as a better story, but the first one's regarded as being better made.
Interesting.
In terms of the way it was shot and stuff. I've heard that this one is the more enjoyable viewing.
Yeah, as a film, like, I don't know, like
What do we give Terminator?
a 4.
I'm higher on this than that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
this was visually way cooler, like, and the like very impressive for 86. Like the power loader like looked legit. Like I don't know how they did that. Like and then the mother like all the aliens like were they like just costumes, or were they like computer like
I could not tell you.
I
Those were
couldn't
fucking
tell.
incredible.
Like this was kind of insane for how like it even stands up today. Like I'm like pretty into like visual effects and like knowing all this technical stuff about it, and like I legitimately couldn't tell like for a lot of this, and maybe it was just me being so into the story and like not really caring about that, you know?
Right.
So I guess that could have been it, but like as this was made, like this was made really well.
This
like,
was made really, really well. I'd say the only thing really lacking is story. You know, like it is really simple, and like the simplicity is the key in getting us to care about the characters emotionally, but it's I don't know, man. I'm pretty high on this movie, which is like I'm just like surprised where I'm ending up here. Like this is going to be a high movie.
I'd say like it's not a 5 out of 5.
No, I'd go like cap 4.5.
Okay, that's what I was about to say. So that's good. Yeah, I was like, I mean, I'm comfortable really anywhere between a 4 and a 4.5, but 4, we gave a Terminator a 4, so it's definitely higher than a 4.
I agree.
So, I mean,
maybe we throw it smack dab in the middle there at a 4.25, 4.3.
Let's see how that does. A 4.25 gives it an average of 4.68, which is 0.01 above the Breakfast Club, which is funny.
That feels right to me, though.
And then let's see if a 4.3. I don't think it's going to change it a whole lot, but if we were to bump her up to a 4.3, that's a 4.7 out of 5. And then all the way up to our extreme, 4.5 gives it a 4.77 out of 5, which ties it with The Shining.
It's not there.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 4.77. So I think 4.25. 4.25, 4.3. Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's basically the same thing. That's a little better. Because this was, compared to the Breakfast Club, this wasn't just like, it barely better, which I guess it still is. So yeah, this makes sense. A 4.7 out of 5. Like, I'm
comfortable with that for sure.
Like, let's see where that places it. So yeah, like Terminator was a 4.6. This is a 4.7.
Right. What's one above Aliens
see.
At this point?
4.77. Is there anyone lower than that? Looks like it's The Shining is one above Alien, and then the one right below it is The Breakfast Club. Oh no, I was about to say MASH. I saw the 6.7, and that's like what I did. Then I looked at the 2, 2.67. So yeah, not MASH, but right above The Breakfast Club, but below The Shining.
Okay.
I'm good with that. That sounds about right. Like, I mean, I love The Shining.
I don't know how it keeps shaking out like that, but every time I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel about this movie.
Like,
little bit, I like it a little less than I like The Shining, and I think it was a little better than The Breakfast Club. So, like, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, like Raiders 4.93, like wasn't Raiders. But like not. Apocalypse Now a 4.5. It was better than Apocalypse Now. Like, yeah,
I certainly enjoyed it more than Apocalypse Now. And see, there are certain movies where I'm like, I do think Apocalypse Now is probably every bit as good of a movie as Aliens was. But if I remember correctly, Apocalypse Now enjoyment rating wasn't quite as high as Aliens was.
A 4. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
This month is shaking out to be pretty good. I don't think it will stand up to March. March is pretty high.
What's today? April 22nd?
Yeah, so we got one more. One more, and
Spaceballs,
it's
baby.
Spaceballs. So
That's gonna
that'll
take
be
a hit. It's gonna take a little hit because it's not. What the fuck was that?
Hear that?
Who was that?
Was that in my in real life? Was that in my head? You hear that?
I did hear that.
Anyways, it's just strong month so far, though. Like
no, yeah, it certainly has been. What's our month average so far?
I mean, I guess right now the way it's like it's a 3.48, but that's if the next one is a 0 out of 0. So like it's counting that as a 0. I guess I could just let me see the average here. I can do it real quick. Edge of these numbers, bam, is a 4.35, which is March was a 4.46. February was a 4.45. So like February and March are like exactly the same pretty much. January was a 4.22. I think it'll be higher than January because I mean MASH had a 2.67. That's just like,
well, hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. Next week, Spaceballs is the first straight up comedy we will have covered since MASH. So
ooh, interesting. Yeah, I'm very curious on where this is going to hit because like of what I've heard of Spaceballs, like it's going to be a very enjoyable movie. I don't doubt that. And for the genre, like, oh, really?
No, I mean like it's like an objectively like
it's bad on purpose. Like
it's a parody film. Yeah. Like that's like it's like part of the point is to be bad. Yeah. Like
it'll be an interesting like how it ranks. Like how it. Yeah,
because like I mean it's we'll see. But yeah, with that, I think that concludes the this episode of the Penny Bloom podcast. It was 1986. We covered Aliens. Next week we cover 1987's Spaceballs is the plan right now. And I think we'll be joined by Tavares Pennington for that one. And I think we will be joined by Tavares for a couple weeks going forward in terms of 88, 9, 91, and 2, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. He's shown some interest in those movies. So I'm excited to get Tavares back in here with us. And yeah, man, I was Colton Robertson, joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you, man. And if you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll find well over 21 hours of exclusive content at this point. I also post up some digital paintings and some stuff I do over there, art-wise, exclusive there, nowhere else. All that money I make there goes back into making sure the podcast can happen, costs money, and I don't make any money on it besides the Patreon. So that's a huge help, and we've got tons of content over there. If you would, follow on Twitter at PennyBloomPod, where if we were to change a movie week to week, I said that next Fridays will be 1987 Spaceballs, and I think that'll stick. But if it wasn't going to, you'd find out on Twitter. Follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. You were always an asshole.